Hello? Good. So, I want to tell you a quick story that starts sadly, but I promise it will have a happy ending. So, the story starts with this strange front page of the newspaper. It's the newspaper in Slovakia that I used to work for 10 years, and the front page actually shows empty newsroom because on that day the oligarch in Slovakia bought the newspaper, the biggest broadsheet newspaper in the country, and more than half of the journalists, when this happened, decided to quit the paper, to protest, and basically to say that we have to say to the oligarch that no, he cannot buy everything, and no, the independent journalists cannot be bought. So that was the day, that was the first day of unemployment in my life. And of course, the day after that, the big questions are what we can do with those almost 50 journalists who were brave enough to actually leave, but now they don't know how to actually establish another paper, or how to actually show to the oligarch that he cannot buy everything. So there are three things that we did first. First, we basically said, and it sounds incredible when I speak about it, we just said to the readers, please just donate some money, and we have no idea what we will do, but if it will be enough money, we promise you we will do something, you know? So 7,000 people in a couple of weeks send us 300,000 euros, basically just saying that we trust you, that you will actually establish something that will be independent, and that it will help solve the problem of oligarchs buying all the media in the region. So we had kind of a proof that there is not only there is interest, that there is actually people who are willing to pay some money for this. So we said, okay, we still need some investors, and we were lucky to find some investor who basically said, we told to them, like, independence of the journalism is very important for us. And they said, just write anything in the contract, anything that you can think of in terms of how you can guarantee your independence, and we will sign everything, you know? So we just set the rules, which are really like saying that none of the investors can even call the journalists, none of the investors can anytime discuss what is in the paper. Like, they are very, very separate. They can look at the financial data, but they cannot talk about the editorial positions at all. They cannot even change the editor-in-chief and so on. And the third thing, how actually the hardest is how you can actually create the business model in 2014, 4 years ago, when we know that the print media are not a viable business model anymore, especially not if you are trying to start something new. The advertisement is going down because the Facebook and Google are taking all the advertisement. So basically, we had only one option: to build the whole company and the whole newspaper on the subscription revenues. To actually ask people to subscribe. So we said, okay, we actually have to change not only the business model, but even the editorial side. So we said, this is what we traditionally were writing. So normally you would have some very long articles with high added value, then something in the middle, then like very short news with very, very fast short news. We said, there is actually only business in those extremes, in the red bubbles, you know, so we only do very short news to bring the traffic, and we only do very, very long news, long articles that bring a lot of revenue in the subscriptions, and not do anything in the middle, which before was actually most of what we were doing. So this is the actual print newspaper. It looks different from the other paper because it's always just one topic. Sometimes we have even like the whole newspaper, all 16 pages is just one article, you know? So if we have an article about China, it's 16 pages about China. There's nothing else in the paper, but you bet that it's better article about China that you have ever read. This is the magazine, again, always just one topic in the magazine. Then we started building a software, and again, there was no software on the market that could actually support what we wanted to do, support the focus on the subscriptions. So this is the email that every reporter gets in the morning, and the email says, these are the articles from yesterday, this is how many people bought subscription on this article, this is how much money you actually brought to this company yesterday as a reporter. This is, of course, very controversial, because before we had like strict separation of business and journalists should not care about the business of paper and so on. For us, it was easy to explain why we have to do this, because we said to the reporters, okay, either you are all involved in actually, either you are all involved in the business side as well, or we actually don't have any company in 3 months. Like, we will not survive if we don't sell subscriptions. the so this is, for example, this is our front page, how the readers see it, and this is the front page how the editors see it. So even the editor, when he is deciding about the articles, he sees how many people bought this article, how many people converted thanks to this article. This is what happens when you actually start feeding this data to journalists. So in 4 years now, of those 45 people who left the paper, not a single one quit in 4 years. But so we have the same sample of 45 journalists, but by feeding data, they are actually writing every year less and less articles. So they would say they are working less and less, but they are each article is getting longer and longer. So the idea of subscriptions is actually pushing reporters to think more before they start doing anything. It's pushing them to think before they write, like, is this really something that is so unique that someone will want to pay for it? No, you shouldn't be doing it because someone else did it. You shouldn't be doing it because other media are covering it. You really should have a very, very unique idea, and you should have a very unique articles. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So just to show you an example, these are our best, the articles that brings the most revenue, so like tens of thousands of euros each article, like 6 best-selling in our 4 years. The number one is actually investigative. Our reporter went across the globe, found one guy wanted by Interpol, found him on the street and interviewed him. The second one is a very highly political piece about Angela Merkel. The third one is, again, groundbreaking, investigative about our Ministry of Interior, involved in kidnapping Vietnamese from Germany and so on. So these are really like by far the best investigative pieces we have. These are the things that we are most proud of, and they are also the things that are actually bringing most revenues. So the match between the business side and between the editorial is very strong, because what editors are proud about, what editors are proud of, and reporters, that's also the thing that is bringing the money for the paper to survive. These are all financial numbers. So we were losing money for first 2 years. Actually, we did a funny thing. We asked for, we only spent about 600,000 euros to actually start the paper, so about half of the money we got from the investors. And this is even more important graph for me. So this is the share in our country, share of the national journalistic prices that goes to us, the red one, and it goes to everyone else, including the public TV, all the TV stations, all the radios, all the newspapers, and so on. So I'm showing this because really to show that the match is very strong. When you produce the highest quality journalism, you actually get the revenues and you actually get the profit as well. Another thing we are doing, instead of like the job of the government, so we tried a lot of different ways how to get money apart from subscriptions. This is the crowdfunding. So we started first getting the doing crowdfunding for individual stories, like reporters pitch the stories, put it on the website, and people either send the money to do the story or they don't, and we don't do the story. It's a lot of effort. We are not doing the individual stories yet, but by doing the crowdfunding, we actually discovered like much better ways how to do the crowdfunding for the project. This is a magazine that we are selling in the newsstands, and the magazine, the topic is lies and conspiracies. So it's basically for high school students, like a book for high school students. How can they recognize fake news on Facebook? How they should be careful, what they see on the internet, and so on. And we said we will produce the magazine, but you readers have to pay for the distributions. For every 70 euro cents that you give to us, we will give the magazine for free to one school. As you can see, just for this one, we collected actually more than 40,000 euros. So more than half of the students in our country actually got the magazine for free. So we kind of accidentally discovered one good way to do crowdfunding, because almost no one wants to buy this for himself. No one thinks, I should learn about fake news. Everyone thinks about himself that I already know what is fake news. But those bloody high school students, they better learn how to fake. So I'm happy to support them learning about how to resist Russian propaganda and so on. We did another crowdfunding. So, for example, our colleague was murdered this year, a journalist, investigative journalist in Slovakia, and there were huge protests, and the government fell down because of this. So we, for example, just did crowdfunding for the billboards across this country. The slogan is Slovakia cannot belong to the mafia, and the whole country was actually like littered with billboards. You can see these are the protests for the murdered journalists, or the remembering of the murdered journalists, and people using the slogan and the billboards. This is a proud photo of our CEO in my own living room, replying to the help desk questions. So of course, apart from the revenues, there is also a cost side, and it's always much easier to start a new company because we basically decided we don't need almost anything that the old publishing company had. We don't need any distribution department. We don't need the marketing department. And seriously, we don't have anyone for marketing. We only can do one thing, and that one thing is journalism. So the CEO is former journalist, I'm former journalist, almost everyone is former journalist in the company. And then we added a second competence, which is basically software development for the system, for the subscriptions. So we also, one of the things we done is that we said we should actually be sharing more between the publishers. So all the software that we are creating for us is open source. Anyone else can use it, and some other publishers are starting to use it already. It's basically, if you want to take it, if you want to go to the website. So it's the CRM for managing the subscribers. It's kind of marketing automation. So again, it's out of necessity that we don't have a marketing department, so we need a software that is very, very easy to use, just a couple of clicks to send the newsletters, to send the special promotions, and so on. There is a software for creating banners, like special offers for readers. Again, very, very easy to use. We have now like very good, actually machine learning component. So if I want to, it takes a lot of data into account, and it kind of estimates which of the users, when they come to the website, which are more willing to pay and which are less willing to pay. And if you are less willing to pay, we will probably just show you, like us on Facebook, or we will give you a big discount. And again, it's just like one-click solution. As a marketing, I say 10% of people most willing to pay, send them this offer. The great big news we have this month. So the one on the right is Slovakia. That's our original country. Actually, next Monday, so in 2 days, we are doubling the size of the company, so we are going from 50 to 100 people. We are building a new newsroom in Czech Republic, and we are launching another crazy venture, another new newspaper in Czech Republic. That's one country where everyone is saying, no, people will never pay for content, and people will never support independent journalism. So you'll see how that will go there. As you can see, we need about another 200 years to conquer the whole Europe. So that's the plan. But so far, 2 countries. We are doing the crowdfunding there as well. And this is my last slide, and I want to translate it for you. It was from 2 weeks ago. It's the guy is one of the chiefs of staff of Czech army. So like the head of paratroopers in the Czech army, like very high position. And he tweeted, when we started the crowdfunding, he tweeted, what is the first line of defense of the country, in hybrid war? It's not the paratroopers, it's not us paratroopers, it's not the fighter jets, it's the journalists, and so please support independent journalism, because without independent journalism, this country cannot survive, so please go and buy a subscription, So this was the moment when I said, okay, I think we will be okay in the Czech Republic as well, because when you have like the most patriotic message from the chief of the army saying it's not us, the soldiers, defending the country, but it's the journalists defending the country, I think there is a hope that actually quite a lot of people will understand sooner or later why this is true and why they actually need to support the journalism. So that's for me for the beginning. Thank you.